All right, so in one of my last videos here, I showed all these great books that I have, and today we're going to be zoning in on just a few of them here. Um, one of the things that's on my list here this year to focus on is, self-reliant living, organic gardening, which, we've been doing for years, nutritional healing, healing remedies, organic gardening, the Country Doctor Handbook, natural remedies, book of herbs, the medical, the family medical guidebook. Look at this monster of a book here, country wisdom and know-how. But uh one of the books I'm missing here is the Home Apocryphy book that I just got this year for Christmas. I just realized. But anyway, that's what this video is focused on because today we're going to be going out and harvesting some mullein, mullein, whatever you want to call it. That great, majestic plant that is just found in abundance out in nature, especially here in the Northeast where I'm at. But we're going to go ahead and go out because I noticed I usually pick a lot of this each year just out, wherever I tend to find it. Uh, but this year I noticed it right where I planted I transplanted our uh, grapevines last year. And where I put the grapevines, I pulled the sod off the ground and I dug a nice deep hole and I put some rich compost in it and then I put the grapevine in there and got it going on to the garden fence, which is where I transplanted them. And this year I noticed that in those areas where I put them, there is mullein growing like crazy right there. So what I wanted to do is take you out and show you this and show you what it looks like. I'm gonna put up a little bit of information here for you to see some of the beneficial information about this great plant. And then I'm also going to show you how you can turn that into, tinctures by simply harvesting the leaves, getting them cleaned up, and then packing them in a mason jar and filling that jar up so that they are submerged in 80 to 100 proof vodka. It's really that simple. And then capping it off, putting it into a dark location for, 8 to 12 weeks, shaking it, every so often. Um, and then in the end, you just strain it through a cheesecloth into, amber little droppers, and it's a great uh, medicinal thing to have on hand. And like I said, that's one of the things I really want to try and focus in on more this year is making more natural tinctures from things that are found in abundance out in nature all around us. And I would much rather have a medicine cabinet full of tinctures than uh, you know prescriptions from the uh, psychoceutical companies, if you know what I mean. So that's what we're looking to do here this year. So anyway, yeah, we're gonna go out and go through this process. I'll show you what it looks like. We'll go ahead and harvest them, and then we'll walk through the process of what that looks like. But anyway, yeah, make sure you get yourself some books. You can never have enough books. We can't rely on these digital resources forever. I mean, if one day we wake up and that is shut off and we don't have it anymore, you better have other resources. And so I would definitely, if you haven't yet, start trying to pick up some books. I mean, you can find things like this obviously at any bookstore, but at yard sales and just different things, you can get them cheaply. A lot of times, I've gotten a lot of books from bookstores that were going out of business, and I mean, you get them super cheap, things like this. So you don't have to spend a lot of money on it. You can get a nice little library going fairly cheap. So I would highly recommend trying to get some physical books to have in your hands, when times may get tough. So anyway, yeah, let's go out and get after these Mullein.
Don't be sleeping on these dandelions. We're not after them today, but they are starting to pop here where I'm at. So I will be getting after them here, starting picking as many as we can to make things like honey and salve. And I mean, there's so many different things you can do with dandelion. The roots have good medicinal benefits to them. I mean, they're just a great quotation weed, for many, but for people with eyes to see, they're actually, a very beneficial plant. And so I haven't actually cut the front of our property yet here because they're just starting to pop up, and definitely want to try and harvest as many as we can while they're in season here. But that's not what we're after today. We are actually after these Mullein. So this is what that is. And as you can see, these are the grapevines that I had planted somewhere else, but that location was holding a bunch of water and they weren't doing well. So when I moved the garden fence last year, I moved them here, and now in each of these locations, I'm not sure what it is that caused it, but now there is, in each spot I have one of these grapevines, these Mullein have sprouted up. And so you can see it there, and these are young plants. They're just starting. When they are, fully grown, they'll be sometimes taller than you. I mean, they can reach 7 foot. I've seen some of them massive. But yeah, I wanted to try, and since I have them right here on the property and I can be ensured that they were never sprayed with any chemicals or anything like that, which if you go out and try to harvest it, I would stay away from ones right next to the road because those areas typically get sprayed with chemicals. And you don't want no part of that. So I would try and find them, somewhere off the beaten path. And here, being that they're right at my garden, I think it's really cool that they popped up here for me, because now I can just harvest them right here at my garden each year. And they seem to be thriving. So anyway, yeah, just got to pick some leaves, and we'll move on with making the tincture. And so it's just a matter of, pinching off these leaves, getting yourself some good ones. I'm going to take them off the bottom here. And between all these plants, just taking the bottom leaves off of each one of these should be adequate to fill a good sized mason jar and to make our tincture. Right, so as you can see, that's a nice batch there. What a beautiful plant. I mean, these leaves are just so soft to the touch. They have a fuzz on them, and I feel like when they're younger like this, that fuzz is more dramatic, and as they get older in their growth and more towards maturity, I feel like they still are, but they don't, from what I remember from previous years, they just don't seem to be that fuzzy. It's almost like at the early stage, they're super, super soft and fuzzy. But when they get, to where they reach maturity, they will flower. There'll be a big stalk at the top of flowers, and those flowers towards fall will go to seed. And so once we hit that point, if these plants get there, which I'm sure they will here in our garden, at that time. We will then go over, you know, harvesting some of the seeds and what you need to do to preserve those so that you could then plant them in other locations or whatever, you know. I think this is certainly enough for us here. I'm not real worried about that, but we can at least go over it so, you know, you can see how that's done. But yeah, so we got a good batch here. This will certainly fill up a couple mason jars and make a pile of Mullein tincture. I mean, just look at that leaf. Beautiful. Nature provides all. Don't forget it. All right, so the next step here is to get these cleaned off. I'm going to make this a little easier on myself and just do it outside. I filled a bucket up with clean water, and so I'm just gonna rinse them. In the bucket like so, and then place them on a towel. Just any dirt or little bugs or anything that may be on them. I mean, these are pretty clean, but I'd say it's worth this extra step here before you go taking the time to pack them in jars and make tinctures out of them. You might as well make sure they're clean, thoroughly clean. All right, down to the last few here. Go ahead and wrap these up and take them to a safer spot, because the big kid here, I'm sure he'd just trample all over them, or even knowing there's a towel here, lay on them. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these in a little bit safer of a spot to dry out. Then we'll be packing jars. All right, so we got them all laid out here to dry. Hopefully we can get through 15 minutes or so here without a gust of wind. But I think they'll be all right. It doesn't take long for these things to dry. So anyway, yeah, just gonna lay them out, let them dry out thoroughly, and then be moving on to packing jars. All right, and then the last step is just to simply pack these jars. And you want to pack them, you know, as tightly as you can get them. I'm figuring I'm gonna easily get 2, hopefully. I think it'll work out all right. Well, actually, I guess we'll just do one. Thought I had more than enough there, but I mean, I think 1 jar of this is going to be, you know, it's still going to be enough to make a bunch of, you know, the little dropper bottles of the tincture. So, but you do want these to be packed as tightly as possible. So we're just going to go ahead and get 1 jar done here. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then you're gonna want to use 80 minimum 80 proof. 100 proof would be preference, but what I had on hand here was some 80. I'm going to use it up. This is our older stuff here, so I thought I'd start with that. You don't have to have, you know, Kettle One for this. Just cheap vodka, high test will do the trick. So make sure it's all submerged. Just a little bit more. Okay, I think that's gonna do it. All right, and then you need something, you know, that's gonna keep pressure on that, downward pressure, so that it all stays submerged. And I know some people use the plastic things that you put under the lid there to keep things pressed down. I was gonna use, you know, just a couple caps, but the more I thought about it, you know, with microplastics today, and I just don't think plastic's a good idea to have in a tincture like this. It kind of, you know, in my opinion, defeats the purpose a little bit, at least from my point of view. So instead, I'm just going to use a oblong rock that will be just enough to keep that stuff pressed down, and then I'm going to place a piece of parchment paper down, and then the lid. Like that. And so there it is. Now you're going to put this in a dark, cool spot for 8 to 12 weeks. I believe it is, but I'll put the information up so that you can take a snapshot of it or save it, whatever you want to do. But you're going to want to keep that in a cool, dark location. You're going to want to shake it occasionally. I would say every couple weeks, you know, give it a shake. And then, you know, when that time is up, then this is where you would then either filter it through like a coffee filter or a cheesecloth or something into your tincture bottles, which, you know, once we get to that point, we will follow a video to show you, you know, that process and putting it in the tincture bottles and labeling it and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, that's it right there. We got some Mullein ready to go. So I will also post some of the beneficial information on this plant. It's very good for respiratory issues, allergies, you know, things of this nature. So like I said, I'll put at the end a little information on the plant itself so that you can look through it. But yeah, that's it. Easy as that. Hey, taking that cookie monster out, one cookie at a time, baby. Let's get them. We're out.